Hi everyone, this is Margarita.
I'm Lauri Howell.
Yes. Today is our honor to have Lauri coming to be our guest today, and then we are going to talking about the allergy. Everybody experience it a lot if you're in Oklahoma, right?
Right, Oklahoma allergies, yes.
But a lot of people are didn't know like what exactly the allergy do, right? So I feel like it is so such important. People need to understand a little bit more rather than just have all of the allergy shots, right? So the natural way is really going to help kind of like give an alternative way or supportive way to make the allergy a little bit more relief rather than I'm feeling horrible, right? So I can say thanks enough for you to come in to being our guest
Oh, yes, it's
today.
an honor to be here.
Yes,
Thank you for
yes,
inviting me.
yeah. I think we should have a tea, have a chat, right?
Yes.
Yes. Here we go. I remember that when we first met, and you tell me the story about um, your son's story.
Mhm.
So I did have like prepare the questions so in that way that so I can be able to understand a little bit more, and our
Sure.
audience can understand a little bit more, right? Okay, so now the first thing is like, can you walk us through what was happening with your son in the beginning?
So, in the beginning, Noah, my son, was having a lot of just more runny noses. We thought he continued to have colds and viruses over and over. We were going to his pediatrician all the time because he was always runny nose, earaches. So it started out that was how they were symptoms of allergies. But with
Mm.
infants before the age of 1, it's very rare that you see a lot of allergies.
Mm.
But for him, he was already beginning to show some symptoms of that. He was breastfed, so unbeknownst to me, foods that I was eating were affecting him and
Mm.
causing inflammatory response, causing him to be more mucusy.
Wow. Wow. So when he even have like the allergy reaction when he was very little.
Right. Before he was
Ah,
1, we
okay.
started introducing whole foods. And as we were introducing the foods, we had given him some baby food peas, and he didn't react. Typically, the first time you have a food, you won't have a reaction.
Mm.
The next time when we gave him peas, it was instant. We were fortunate that we lived on an Air Force base that had a hospital, because within the first bite, his mouth everything turned red. His lips started swelling to the point that his lips split open. And so instantly we just grabbed him, went to the emergency room, and thankfully they were able to administer epinephrine
Mm.
to help stop the inflammatory response. We had to monitor him for 3 days as he continued to cycle through that.
Mm.
And that began our food allergy um, issues, which were pretty extensive.
Okay, got you. Wow. So, like, I remember one time you told me that the doctor was saying that he has to rely on the feeding tube for long term, right? So,
Right.
how does that looks like right now?
So he initially, after all the testing that we did, he was diagnosed with 45 food allergies. Um, and that was almost every source of protein. And we only had a handful of foods we could eat. So
Mm-hmm.
they said, he's going to need a feeding tube for nourishment, which is not what any parent wants to hear. But he was very tiny. At
Mm-hmm.
1 year old, he weighed 11 pounds. We couldn't get him to gain weight, and now obviously we know why. Um, and I would have gone through with anything for my son, whatever is needed, I wasn't opposed to doing. But I needed to do some research on my own before I just gave into that. And so we chose to try a little bit longer. And I was thankful to find the GAPS protocol,
Mm.
where we worked on healing the gut lining, and things began to change. He began to
Wow.
thrive. He did not need the feeding tube formula. And
Mm-hmm.
by the time we were assessed again, we have gone down, we did strict avoidance for almost 5 years of known allergens, did the anti inflammatory diet,
Mm-hmm.
and just gradually with GAPS started adding food in one at a time. And he went from 45 food allergies to now he has under six.
Wow, that's amazing. So who introduced the GAP diet to you?
Believe it or not, it was
Oh, another mom?
another mom whose
What?
son had food allergies. She had been battling something similar. He did not have nearly as much food allergies as my son,
Mm-hmm.
but it was working for her. And she said, check it out. I bought the book, I read the book, and I, it was a lot of work because when you're making bone broth every week for every meal for your son for a year, including taking him to specialized schooling, um, it was intense to be able to take a soup that you were making. But the teachers were on board, they supported it, and he's thriving now.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's so amazing. So, um, I know that previously when we first met, you told me that you have a um, you was a pharmacist too, right?
So I was a pharmacy technician,
Mm-hmm.
with Walgreens for, gosh, 12 years.
Wow.
So that was all I knew about medicine at the time.
Yes.
Which again, I'm very respectful for pharmacists. They are
Mm-hmm.
so knowledgeable and so helpful, on knowing interactions that can happen within the body and side effects. So very grateful for them, but that was all I knew. I didn't know about natural ways to support and facilitate healing.
Mm-hmm. How does that change happen? And like really, like from pharmacists, right? Like
Pharmacy. Uh-huh.
tech, and then everything is about the modern medicine, and then coming to everything now. Okay, everything is natural. So, what is that transition looks like, and what made you wanting to do that?
So realizing that whole foods, foods that were anti-inflammatory, made such a difference in my son's life. Seeing him go from having psoriasis to hasn't had a flare up in 12 years to he has an autism diagnosis to being so high functioning, people never know about that,
Mm-hmm.
to seeing him thrive. I am 5'2". His dad is 5'5", and my
Mm-hmm.
son is 5'9".
Wow.
So that's not typical, but being able to give him nutrients that nourished his body and helped him to reach that optimal level, it just, we didn't need medicine for that. No, we always kept an EpiPen, and I will always say keep one if you have life-threatening allergies. But we've been able to maintain and thrive with
Mm.
just being able to support his body naturally.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for
Mhm.
sharing that. And then thank you, Noah, to let us to sharing this experience as well. We really appreciate you. And then her son actually is in the audience today. And I say hi. Yes.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining with us today. And then so now, can you tell us a little bit like whenever you have allergy reactions, what does impact to our body? How why those type of reactions will show up?
So with food allergies, it's a little bit more simple because you will either have, like he did, the congestion first, more mucusy, um, but then, anaphylaxis, where you're having the swelling, things like that. Though it's pretty obvious with food allergies. There's food sensitivities, which might not be as obvious. Those are still inflammatory responses, but it will be something like indigestion, it'll be bloating, it'll be headache, it might be some brain fog, it might be a rash or some changes to our skin texture. It might not be something so obvious that you are associating it to something that you ate.
Mm.
With seasonal allergies, again, it could be similar to symptoms of when you have a cold or flu:
Mm.
runny nose, itchy, watery eyes. It can be like lots of sneezing, lots of congestion. That is a response when your body, with the seasonal allergies, say pollen, for instance, we're exposed to it as long as we're in that environment. So, in that season, we're going to be constantly creating more histamines, and that is what causes that response. Versus once that season's over, we're good again. So
Mm.
people will take things like, you know, over the counter allergy medicines to kind of negate the effect. But there are ways that you can naturally support your body so that possibly you might not need the over the counters. You might
Mm.
still, but
Mm.
it can support your body so that you don't necessarily need as much.
Mm. Okay. For someone, like for me, I'm grown up in China, which there's a lot of pollution, there's a lot of things going on. Luckily that I guess I have a very strong immune system. I'm good,
Mhm.
right? And then I think I think a few weeks ago I was I was preparing myself to run in a marathon, right? Not for one to half,
Uh-huh.
and then I was running for a whole week. Oh man, I don't know, is it allergy or I don't know what was going on. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not in my favor. I was feel so bad. I was so thankful that we had the salt therapy. It
Mhm.
really helps me clean my lens and everything. And also the tea that you give to me, it was really helpful. Yeah, thank you
Oh,
so
good.
much. Yes,
Yes.
yes. But for someone who has never had allergy and doesn't understanding anything about allergy, I'm just talking about to the audience. Some of them they might experience every day, but some of them they really doesn't. So like, can you explain to us like what really caused the allergy? Like how that's gonna impact to yeah.
So with allergies, there's really not a clear reason of why you're having that
Mm,
response. The closest would be that it could be genetic.
mm,
So if I had seasonal allergies, my children could have them. Or
mm,
if dad had seasonal allergies, their children could have them. So
mm,
that's just one small theory of what could be causing it. Typically, it is an inflammatory response.
mm. Okay.
So somebody who I don't have seasonal allergies,
Mm-hmm.
um, but and I don't. I actually do have one food allergy
Oh
that
yeah.
it didn't come up though until about 8 years ago. So I
What?
never had an allergy.
Oh my gosh.
And then ate something. I ate some mango and I loved it. And I was like, this is so good. So the next time they were on sale, I bought it again and anaphylaxis. It was bad. So that's one thing to know. But also, anybody who does not have an allergy, there's ways that you can prevent the effects by keeping inflammation low,
Mm, okay.
stress low,
Mm-hmm.
eating a variety of foods. So, again, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, having that's plenty of fiber. You're getting lots of healthy bacteria to the gut.
Mm-hmm.
Well, via fiber
Mm-hmm.
for a healthy microbiome,
Mm-hmm.
taking probiotics
Mm-hmm.
to help keep the balance of beneficial bacteria to the not so beneficial bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think I mentioned it, but just keeping stress levels down,
Mm-hmm.
those things can all affect your inflammation in the body. So when we're inflamed, our body's more susceptible to issues, not just
Mm-hmm.
allergies.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you want everybody getting a massage, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's amazing. Yes.
Hmm.
So, what about someone who hasn't have an allergy? Like you and I, we never had an allergy before, but now all of a sudden developing on that. What is caused that?
So all of a sudden, starting to have an
Mm-hmm.
allergic response would be, it could be any of those things. It could be you are eating all the same foods all the time.
Mm.
So you're not
Okay.
diversifying the
Mm-hmm.
nutrients that you're taking in. It
Mm-hmm.
could be you now have a lot of stress, a very stressful job. So you're weakening your
Mm.
digestion, your ability to break down nutrients.
Mm.
If your gut is inflamed, then you are also um, susceptible to leaky gut. So if you're not
Oh, okay.
breaking down your proteins efficiently through digestion,
Mm-hmm.
then once it gets to the gut, it can cause an inflammatory response.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Hey, you was right. I was working 7 days a week after we moved to a new location. It was amazing. But I have to working harder to make sure we are doing it right and we have the operation and everything. So I was working 7 days a week. About let's see, from October until March, it was like 5 months straight. And I was like, okay, I guess that's the turning point that hey, you need to
Slow down.
slow down. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. I was really wondering how is my area. How do you say that word again?
Your iris?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the one that you practice
Mm-hmm.
on iridology. Am I saying it right?
Iridology.
Okay, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So, like, how is my eye looks like? Is that similar to
So
yours?
you have brown eyes. So for us, without getting, I have a really cool magnifying glass to
Oh,
see in,
wow.
but just based off somebody with brown eyes, you can always know that there is potential for blood issues.
Blood
So either
issues?
too thick
Okay.
of blood,
Mm-hmm.
which might turn into some high blood pressure,
Oh,
or
wow.
cardiovascular issues, or too thin of blood, where we are borderline anemic. So we
Mm.
might not, we have trouble with brown eyes to keep and to assimilate our minerals that we get in our food. So for us, it might be more beneficial to take a digestive enzyme so that we
Mm.
can break down our food more efficiently and attain those minerals, especially if we're eating a clean diet, being able to get the full benefit of what we're eating.
Mm.
So that's just on the surface. When somebody walks in with brown eyes, I know right off the bat that's the potential.
There's a potential, right? So
Hmm.
basically, I need to eat the right food.
Right.
Okay. Clean food.
Clean food.
Okay, yeah. Hey, I'm so sorry. You guys didn't see the presentation when she was talking about it. So I was like, oh, when we're talking about stress, that means like I adding too much stress. Like I think maybe I was similar to you, but it's not.
Hmm.
Okay, everybody's different. So yes, yes. Okay, let's get back. Let's get back on track. So now is so you mentioned a lot of like food allergies, environmentals. Like, do you think if with that is like what kind of things can actually help if they have allergies, right?
So there are a lot of natural supports that can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Homeopathy is great.
Mm-hmm.
So homeopathy, I love. I use it for myself and my family. There are homeopathic practitioners out there. I would highly recommend working with one. That's their niche. That's what they specialize in. Um, but off the top, I'd say the most popular homeopathic remedy for allergies
Mm-hmm.
is histaminium.
Mm.
We sell a lot of it at Be Hippie, um, but it is very helpful in kind of like the hay fever, the sneezing, um, lots of like runny noses. That's very helpful to kind of support there. Saline nasal sprays,
Mm.
the I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but clear, however you say it, it's XLEAR. That is very well. It has xylitol in it, and
uh,
during the pandemic, everybody was coming in for that because
mm-hmm.
it puts a little protective barrier
Mm.
into the nose, so that way
Okay.
it's very helpful for allergies because if pollen's in the air, it doesn't make past those membranes right there because you put kind of like a little blanket in there.
Mm.
Um, So that's a great one. Quercetin is a great supplement that is like kind of a natural antihistamine.
Mm,
My nettles is my favorite herb,
mm,
and pregnant women can take it. A
mm,
breastfeeding mom can take it, but
mm.
it's very beneficial for just anybody for allergy. Um, MSM is good for that inflammatory response to an allergen. Let's see here. My favorite, my go-to is vitamin C.
Oh, vitamin C?
I like
Okay.
the Live on Labs
Mm,
liposomal C because I can open 2 packets, take 2,000 milligrams just right there. And usually within like 10 to 15 minutes, I'm no longer stuffy, no longer having a reaction if something's going on.
mm.
So that's very helpful for me.
Wow. It's like everybody have a different reaction. Like if the remedies for them, everybody individually, they have different.
So the good thing about like homeopathy is it's so gentle. The way that that works is like cures like.
Mm,
So homeopathy is
okay.
going to take a little microdose of something that would cause an allergic reaction,
Oh.
but it's so non-threatening that your body then is like, oh, I know what to do. This is a piece of cake, and it triggers the
Mm,
response for trying to remedy that.
mm,
Quercetin is, and vitamin C, we're talking about antioxidants. So your body's response to that, especially with the Live On Labs, that is so easily absorbed that it doesn't cause any kind of GI distress when you're
mm,
taking it.
mm,
Sometimes high doses of vitamin C can clear you out, but
mm,
that one, there's not an issue. And nettles, it typically doesn't have any contraindications. So
mm,
most is like I said, um, if there is an herb or supplement that could, it wouldn't be safe for pregnant women. And that one, it's so gentle.
mm,
So with the ones that I've suggested, there's not really you again, check with your doctor if you are unsure or if there's an underlying medical issue that would prohibit you from using things like that, but those are generally regarded as safe.
mm. Can I ask you a clearer question on the homeopathy? When you say that it's because the allergies, you doing small doses, then you will kind of so gently for that. What what is difference between that and the allergy shots? Like doctors, they
It
prescribe
is,
it.
it's kind of similar
Mm-hmm.
because with like allergies, with the allergy shots, they are they're giving you things that will help your body to not have that histamine response.
Mm,
But it's with vaccinations, there can be fillers that are unfavorable of what you're wanting versus homeopathy is it is so microdosed that it's it doesn't cause reactions. And if you have a reaction to, say, the histaminium, you can take another homeopathic remedy, and it will help to offset and minimize that reaction that you're having. Because sometimes, as you're healing, you might increase in a response before
mm-hmm,
it gets better. So
mm,
sometimes symptoms get worse in the healing
mm-hmm.
and then they get better.
Wow, that's amazing, right? I think the gentle way probably will not increase too much, like body response. I overheard like a lot of clients come in. They say they have a lot of allergies, right? We do like facial massage, helping them to clean the sinuses. They feel like relief, but a lot of times they say that they had a lot of allergy shots, but it doesn't really helping kind of redeem or like relieve completely, still coming back. And so like with homeopathy is like is the same thing or is a little bit different, like
It can help to alleviate the symptoms, but if they are having issues with recurring, just basically inflammatory response of like hay fever and congestion,
mm,
I would always suggest working on lifestyle changes. So
lifestyle change, okay.
having an anti-inflammatory diet would make the world of difference in how their body responds to any modality for healing there.
Wow, that's amazing. So can you, since we're talking about the food, right? So what kind of change, like when you're talking a lot about anti-inflammatory diet, can you give us some examples? Like if someone who have never had those before,
Sure.
so it's just like, okay, that's the name, but I need a more need a great
Right.
things, you know?
So, and like the best way to do an anti-inflammatory diet would be like following the Mediterranean diet.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
you can find tons of recipes, you can find a lot of information about that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to be omega rich, so like fish oils
Okay.
or flax oil, a way that omega 3s will help to naturally buffer that inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be part of it. It's going to be eating uh, fruits and vegetables that aren't typically inflammatory.
Mm.
So you would really want to kind of pay attention to if it's inflammatory to you, because something that is inflammatory to me, like mango, might not bother you. So you
Mm-hmm.
would want to listen to your body and understand the response. But it would be more whole grains as long as you're not having a gluten sensitivity or allergy. But again, lots of leafy vegetables, lots of like fish, lean proteins, and really just keeping processed foods, if not cutting them, then at the minimum, because they cause inflammation, and a lot of time it's the filler in there.
Uh-huh.
So if it comes in a box or a package, it's probably not something that we need to eat. It should
Uh-huh.
be something that comes up from the ground, or something, that's come from a tree, or it's swimming in the ocean,
Yes.
but things like that. If it's not something that is real and living, it's not going to be ideal for our body to take in. If you have to
Mm-hmm.
go in and put ingredients together to make it,
Mm-hmm.
it's not, real food, as in whole food, still in
Mm-hmm.
its intact.
Mm-hmm. Got you, got you. I'm with you. I'm with you. So, what about the environmental? Like, is there any environmental change that would help, such as like air or any type of like chemical expose or anything like that?
Right.
Yeah.
So environmental is also big for causing inflammation in the body.
Mm.
So not only, a lot of people, they might have clean at home, but they're at work and there is air fresheners. We all like candles, and like people want like Glade plug-ins, something to make the air
Yeah,
smell
yeah.
fresh,
Yes.
but that's all chemical and synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can be irritating. Chemicals that we come in contact with, things that people are cleaning with, things that are in the air, all of those, as we breathe them in, is causing and can cause inflammatory reactions.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I guess we really need to go to this class, huh?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Okay. So now let's um. This is a lot of great information for people wanting to make adjustment or change or anything like that. So if someone who wanted to kind of like starting small, and one change that can actually matters the most, or what are the things that you would suggest and you need to starting this
Where to start,
now?
especially with allergies, it would be looking at your diet.
Diet.
You
Okay.
can't always control the environment. We can go outside and somebody has sprayed their yard. We're going to breathe that in.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes with stress, we can't always control our environment that we're in and what we're exposed to and what causes us to feel stress.
Mm-hmm.
But what we eat, we can control.
Oh yeah.
So really learning, and when I work with clients, especially we have a protocol that we use, that was developed by a chiropractor. It's called Shape Reclaimed, and
Wow.
it's an
Okay.
anti-inflammatory diet paired with homeopathy to
Mm.
help your body gently reduce inflammation and cleanse. So
Mm.
I'd say and even in that protocol, I work with each person individually so we can kind of change things around. But with everybody there, I explain over and over again, like, food matters on what you're eating, because your body, the way that you react to it, you have to learn to look for those cues of inflammation. And I'd say with most people, it is after they eat, they feel bloated.
Mm,
And so something like that would be a good tell that this is causing an inflammatory response.
mm,
Or they get it first thing in the morning and they're stiff and achy.
mm,
As they move around, it might go away.
mm,
But first thing in the morning, if they're retaining water and their hands are tight, these are all inflammatory responses
mm,
that you can negate with eating foods and learning to listen to your body of what is causing that response. So
mm,
food diary is
mm,
really great when you
mhm,
eat something, knowing, okay, I ate that and I felt bloated afterwards, or the next day I was achy. Even though you didn't have a rash, you didn't vomit or have any kind of like GI upset, you're still having a response.
mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. Wow, that's amazing. Hey, we working with a lot of clients. They coming on the wellness and by the drainage massage, right? So whenever they come in, the first thing we were thinking like, hey, do you have any swollen? Do you have any bloating? That's what we mostly help with, right?
Mhm.
So now I learned that I need to tell the clients, hey, you need to do food diet, or you need to go to see Lauri,
Yeah.
right? Yes, yes. Okay, that's a good things to learn. So I have a lot of takeaways. So I think I'm gonna starting with my food diet. I know one thing that I can't do is drink coffee. If I drink coffee, it's, it's too much energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that's coming up in my mind will be like what people gets wrong whenever they think about allergy. Like,
What do you mean by
I mean by that is like,
that? Excuse me.
yeah. So what I mean by that is like somewhere people thinking about they have allergies reactions, but actually they get a cold, right? Or they actually have a cold, they think about they get allergies, or like or like think about they think about they might okay, so I feel my air conditioner blowing on me, then I feel like okay, that's causing me allergies, right? Something like that.
So regardless of if it is a true allergy response or it is a cold, something going on internally is causing an inflammatory response. So it's not necessarily like if it's truly this or that. It would be either way that response is the same. So supporting your body so that its stress response isn't to go over, and basically it's kind of overreactive.
Mm-hmm,
So regardless, you would still want to support the person as a whole
mm-hmm,
to 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 kind of remedy that response.
mm-hmm,
So if, for instance, I'd say the only way you could tell between that would be if it's food. If it's a food allergy, you're going to notice because it's going to be like anaphylaxis.
mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So what are some common misconception about allergy have you seen though? Do you see anything like that?
I would say a lot of people want to just take an antihistamine, and
Mm,
they're like, okay, well, I'll just take an antihistamine and then I'm not going to have as many issues. There's still something going on internally
mm-hmm,
that, where, I mean, pollen, it's nature, it's in our natural environment. We shouldn't be having a response to that.
mm,
So we go outside, we shouldn't be having a response to pollen or ragweed or whatever's in the air. They'll say
mm-hmm,
it's high this or that. We shouldn't be having that response. A healthy person, not to say that people who have allergies aren't healthy, but with a healthy inflammatory response, you shouldn't be having that issue. So I'd say the misconception is just putting a band-aid on it, which would be an
mm,
antihistamine. It would be
mm-hmm,
more working on reducing the inflammation internally so that when you're exposed to these environmental issues that we have no control over, we don't have that stress response that flares up.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really agree with you. Not to put a band-aid on it. I think the most important thing is like find out what is the root cause there, and then
Hmm.
really trying to work on the root cause rather than just have a band-aid.
Hmm.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. So now, if someone is dealing allergy now, what are the three things you would tell them to start with?
So
The
again,
food is for sure.
I'll
Yeah.
start with the food, cleaning
Okay.
up your diet. I would start with hydration,
Hydration? Oh,
making sure
okay.
you're like first thing in the morning, if you know that you are going, seasonal allergies are kicked up, drinking some water first thing to flush anything out of your system. So hydrating well, diet, and then reducing stress.
Okay.
So whether it's by therapy or massage therapy, actually is very beneficial. We're talking about moving the lymph. We're talking about helping with like clearing pathways so that they can, like you mentioned, they'll do some sinus work there on massaging. So just kind of getting the blood flowing and moving so that your body is trying to flush out any irritants that are going on. But those three would be the most important.
Come and get a massage. Welcome to see Lauri. I think this is the most important thing. Just come to see Lauri. She can see your body as a whole, really
Mhm.
kind of see where you need and everything now, right? So, and I'm so glad that we can be able to discuss all of the things about allergy today. So, and then for me, the best takeaway is like watching food, watching the diet, watching where that you can get in control, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, um, with the allergy proportionally, we're talking about homeopathy, right? So, is there any other natural way can helping with the allergies?
Um, like what do you like supplement wise or?
Supplement wise, or we're talking about massage can help, right? So, and
Mhm.
then we're talking about like homeopathy, we're
Mhm.
talking about the sprays, and then the one that we were talking about, salt therapy, is a salt therapy can helping with the allergy too?
So that's going to help with basic kind of cleaning out the respiratory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting the way that salt caves came about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was I can't give you the full history, but the the nutshell version is these men that were mining in salt caves
Mm.
were basically the only people in this village that were not getting sick.
Oh, really?
So everybody else is getting sick, and the doctors took notice that, hey,
Mm.
wait a minute, these men are healthy and they're not getting sick. And so they started wheeling their patients down there into the salt mines and
Mm.
just letting them sit in there and breathe in the salt air, and they
Wow.
started getting better.
Wow.
So there's a whole lot more history into that, but
Mm-hmm.
my brain's full of random facts. Um, but in our case, we have a salt sauna. And so we have a mill that's on the side. We have a Halo IR sauna.
Mm-hmm.
So it grinds up medical grade salt and puts it into the air. You can't really see it. You can barely kind of taste it a little bit on your lips, but
Mm-hmm.
it it's so fine that when you breathe it in, it gets deep into the alveoli of the lungs, and it helps so that if something's trying to set up camp there and make us not feel good,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like combating that for us.
Wow, that's amazing. I think, can I ask one more question before we stop?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have one of my clients was very interesting. She was like, what kind of things the way they can do for the kids if they have allergies, or how they can be able to preventing the kids to be having allergies and then everything.
So for little ones, the salt therapy is great
Mm-hmm.
because we have a 3-person sauna, so
Mm.
mom can like obviously I'm not going to charge mom if she's coming to sit with her kids.
Yes, yes.
Kids can't be hanging out in there; they'd be miserable.
Uh-huh,
But
uh-huh.
they can come sit in there. They can even bring toys to play with because it's not going to hurt the toys to have the salt air on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is really great. I've had a lot of moms come and bring their kids to get to just kind of, it's like a breathing treatment.
Oh,
You
breathing
know,
treatment?
you're
Okay.
getting all of that salt into the lungs, into the sinuses, um, and without like, crossing any lines that I shouldn't. It's very beneficial to help keep like sickness away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that moms can do with kiddos. Also, limiting processed foods, giving
Mm.
them a diverse diet, especially with food allergies. We have a lot of people that sometimes are picky eaters. So, really kind of trying to work with them to desensitize that so that they're
Mm.
getting more nutrients in. When we get more nutrients and minerals in our diet, we're able to produce the correct enzymes to break down foods more efficiently.
Mm.
Plus, with more fruits and veggies, we get more fiber, so the inflammation is minimized.
Mm.
Um, for kiddos, there are the histaminium. There is a children's version of that
Oh,
homeopathy.
wow.
So there's then the same company puts out it's like an allergy calm, I think is what it's called for kids. And then also, I would say really working on their foundations, making sure they are getting hydrated well, making
Mm.
sure they're getting a good night's sleep, a healthy routine at home that, you know, we all live really busy lives, but protecting their sleep, um, giving them plenty of time to play outside, getting some
Mm.
fresh air, vitamin D. These are ways that they can naturally support their immune system, but really cutting out
The
inflammatory
processor.
foods, so
Yeah.
processed foods.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when kids are at school, it's kind of hard to do that.
Mm. Yeah.
But with my son, I really educated him on these foods make you not feel well. You don't have to make anybody feel bad that you're
Mm-hmm.
not eating them,
Mm-hmm.
but you know that this could, for him, it was life threatening.
Oh, yeah, for
So,
sure.
but so, growing up, he'd still go to birthday parties, still go to, um, at our church parties. And when people would offer him something, he'd just say, no, thank you.
Mm.
And I would always make sure to have like some berries, things that he liked that were like a dessert to him available so that he was still enjoying things that were delicious to him and he
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel like he was being left out.
Mm.
And people would always be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so sad." And I I would always just be like, "No, this is it's he's healthy and he's happy and this is just kind of how we laid those foundations for him so
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't feel like he's missing out. He
Mm-hmm.
feels like he's protecting his body."
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
I'm just
you.
telling you right now, you changed his life. You changed many people's life.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the whole reason I got into this was to bring hope
Mm-hmm.
and encouragement to anybody getting started. Because when you're faced with a diagnosis, it can be really overwhelming.
Oh, yeah,
So,
for sure.
knowing that you always have a voice and you can be empowered by just simple little things that you do to
Mm-hmm.
help yourself feel better,
Mm-hmm.
it's important to be able to share that with other people and bring hope.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. So, do you have any other things you want to talk to our audience or anything?
Uh, no, I think we're good.
I guess I should ask a better question. How can our audience find you, right?
Gotcha. So we are Be Hippie Holistic and Botanical.
Mm-hmm.
We are located off of Northwest 164th in Portland. We're right behind the On Q. There's a little shopping strip there, but we have free wellness classes. We have some that are make and take. We
Mm-hmm.
just did a fun one on tea blending. Everybody went home with recipes and loose herbs so they could continue to make their
Taste the
own.
tea.
Uh, yes, and but we have supplements there. We have the salt therapy, the detox foot baths. and then free consultations on supplements if you need help to kind of navigate what you truly need and what's kind of just all hype.
Hey, if you need a massage, man massage here is here for you. And we're only 10 minutes away from each other.
Yeah, 10
Yes?
minutes away.
Yeah, from our 63rd location. And then thank you guys so much for taking the time watching this video. And if you like it, and then definitely subscribing our channel. And we're also gonna drop down all of Lauri's contact information, social, anything that you need on our description, so you can find her and really find a natural way to support your health and well-being.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.